Good morning. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm very excited to be here. It's been a minute since I've logged on. I think it's been about a month since we've done a live together. And so I'm excited to be here. And I want to talk today about how to build your blueprint for 2025. And I think that's super important to start thinking about your new year coming up, the next year, the upcoming year now, right? Because what I've noticed in working with my salon owners a year over year is I've noticed that people don't start planning ahead of time, that they're just showing up to the game when you're in the middle of playing the game. So I want to make sure that we are enjoying this super busy time of the year as salon owners, especially. I mean, this is sometimes November is busier than December, right? So I want to make sure that yes, you're taking care of yourself during the super busy time, but that you're showing up for 25, prepared for 25. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you're in the middle of this like busiest time. I want to just say good morning real quick to people that I see popping in. Jennifer, it's so good to see you. Stacy, good to see you too. John, Ginger. God, it's good to see you guys. I'm happy that you're here. Um, Say hi, throw some comments in the comment box. I love it. But no matter what business you're in, I guess, right? It's like this is just a busy, crazy time of the year. And sometimes what we don't do is carve time out to honor that, take a minute to ourselves in the middle of the crazy, and then start sitting down and saying, how do I plan for what I want to see different in the new year? What do I want to see that's better, that's different? And before we do that, for us business owners here in showing up this morning at this live, I want to congratulate you just for showing up this morning, whether you are here live or you're streaming it later. I want to congratulate you just on showing up in general because I know that it's a crazy time. And not only is it a crazy time for you, and it's hard to pour from a near empty cup, but I want us to acknowledge that it's a super busy time for our staff too. And sometimes when it is very busy, we don't look around and acknowledge that other people might be struggling, might be sinking. So let's take a minute and make sure that our staff is doing well. So, like this live today is about planning for the new year, but also making sure that you're thriving through the end of this year. And um, so you might be a little crazy, but just for this first part right here, I want to just say, let's make sure we're acknowledging our team. They're also showing up, taking in, clients that are kind of like might be at the height of their emotional roller coaster around this time of the year. And good morning, Derek. I saw that you just joined. Good to see you. Um, Make sure your team is good because planning is less fun when you don't have a team to plan for in the new year. So, whether you're making like a hot chocolate bar in the salon in the back, whether you're having ugly sweater day, whether you're doing spontaneous contests, whatever it is, to create a really fun environment, I want you guys to think about every day that our team walks in that, puts whatever's going on with them aside to show up to create beauty and inside and out. And so we want to give back to them and make sure that they're good. So, good morning, Sam. Good to see you. Glad you're here. All right, I want to talk a little bit about planning for the new year. And what I've noticed, and I might have said this at the top of the hour, is when I'm working with my client, my coaching client, sometimes what I'm seeing is we're showing up to the party or right when the party's supposed to start, and you're the one throwing it. So if you think about that and you think about how much planning goes into you throwing a party, you're planning months before in order to get your invite list, make sure you have all the supplies you need, the food you need, the catering, whatever it is. it's no different for our business I don't want you guys showing up for your business without planning for it. And we should always be planning ahead. And whether that is planning for our new year that's to come, whether it's planning for an upcoming meeting that we have, that we don't just show up the day before and scribble notes and say, what is it that we're going to talk about? This needs to be meaningful change for this upcoming year. And as a business owner, which I sold my salons on. I'm going to talk about that, in a minute, but I sold my businesses over the last 2 years. I had 3 businesses that I sold over the last 2 years. And, but as a business owner for 32 years, we were always planning at least a quarter before the upcoming quarter. So the end of the year, we planned out a sketch of what we wanted the year to look like. And then the quarter before the upcoming quarter, we were getting into the details of what we needed that to look like. And those details that we were planning for the upcoming quarter were driven by the annual plan that we created before the year started. Things take time. Progress, profit takes time, and it takes planning. And I want to get back to when I sold my businesses. I didn't decide one day that I wanted to sell my businesses, and then the next day they were sold. Each one took over a year to start prepping and planning and working the plan in order to get the business sold. So I sold a business in 23. That business we started working on before COVID. So that was in 2019, had to put a pause on it, get the business restructured again after COVID, right? So, and I sold it in 23. So, that business was 4 years in the making before that sold. That was in the second quarter of 2023. Sold a consulting company in 2023. That was 6 months of planning in order to get that sold. And then my last business that I just sold this year in August, that was probably a year and a half in the planning, and the plans ended up changing and weaving and going through the ups and downs and roller coasters like any business in order to get to the final goal, which was to sell the business. And some of you may not know this about me, but I also am going to be playing in the real estate field, and that is going to be another part of my career along with my consulting business. But I didn't wake up one day and say I want to play in the real estate sandbox, right? It was in, I think, last year in October. I was planning for this year in October to be able to start working on my real estate business. So I got my license. I worked on that in October through December, got my license in January of 24, and I'll start working on that in the new year. So I'm still gearing up for that business, my planning for that business. So I'm telling you all this because success takes time, patience, and planning. And Joy said, exit strategy is so important. I sold 2019. Who knew COVID was coming, but so happy who I sold it to, and it's thriving. Right, it takes a while, and success takes a while. So I want to talk a little bit about what this planning could look like, because sometimes, and the reason I talked about us being in the middle of like the busiest season ever is because sometimes you might be thinking to yourself, how do I even have the bandwidth or the time or the space to sit down and plan this, like my whole next year? That's not what I'm saying to do, to not plan the whole next year. We can't possibly do that because we don't know what things are going to hit us in the new year. We surely didn't know we were going to be shut down in March of 2020, right? So, but what we can do is plan an outline. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. I have all my notes that I made. So if you see me looking down, it's because I want to make sure not to forget anything. So we know that planning is essential. And so I want to talk about this concept called micro planning. And micro planning is a lot less overwhelming than sitting down and saying, I need my 2025 plan to be complete. Micro planning is how can I carve out a little bit of time every single week? Anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour every week where it's on your calendar. And my recommendation is that your phone even gets turned off for that 15 minutes or an hour. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I am severely ADD on some days, and I want to joke about it, but I feel like it's a real thing. I mean, I have like a million things happening, and so the minute I start multitasking when I'm sitting down to do something that I plan to do, it takes away my momentum, and it takes a long time. And maybe this is just me, but when I sit down to work on a project, it takes me a minute to just get myself grounded it into the mindset of what I'm working on. I don't just sit down and just start writing. I mean, even when I'm gearing up for these Monday lives, it's taking me days to sit down and start planning in my mind. Like I write something up, and then I start thinking about it, and then I firm it up on a different day. So each day I'm working on it a little bit. And so I want to talk about this concept of micro planning, which is breaking up different categories of what you need to work on in small bite-sized pieces. So whether, like I said, it's 15 minutes a week or an hour a week, then let's get some categories down on what it is you could work on. So just here's some examples, and yours might look different. But let's just say you have 5 or 6 weeks until the new year, and you're like, I just want to get my calendar started. It doesn't all have to be filled in, but it would be nice if you had a few things started. So these are some of the things that I'm recommending to you. And for my clients that are watching, yes, I'm talking to you because I'm sure I've already talked to you about planning for 2025. And so here would be like an example of week 1 through week 5. So week 1 could be financial review and budgeting. So breaking down what you did in 24 or what you did this past year. And when we talk about review of revenue, there's 2 things that I want you guys to focus on. One is revenue and one is budgets. Because it doesn't matter how much you're making. If you're not keeping any of it, then you're not profitable. And if you're not profitable, you're not sustainable. So with financial review, it's like, let's break down. Let's say you want to have a 10% increase in your revenue this coming year, or a 15 or 20, depending on the age of your business. If you're a newer business, you probably are going to have bigger leaps of revenue jumps, right? You're going to have bigger revenue jumps than if you're a 10-year business or a 20-year business, just because your business usually in the beginning will start growing at a steeper rate and then start leveling off. And then you'll just kind of be on a kiddie roller coaster for the rest of your life. No. So financial reviews and budget. So if you can say, hey, I want to grow 10% this year, and that's really important to me, then you'll start with January and say, all right, this was our revenue in January. This is how much we did in service. This is how much we did in retail. This is how much we did in gift certificates. Whatever the streams of revenue are that you are focusing on and working on is where you'll set your goals. And you can break that down monthly, and then how many days are in the month. So you'll know what your daily goals are, because we want to know what our daily goals are so that we can help our team achieve their goals, hence us as owners achieving our goals. The other part of this financial review and budget is the budgeting piece. For those of you that don't have a budget system, I highly recommend that you are doing weekly budgeting so that you don't get your profit and loss statement the next month for the current month that you're in and you're shocked. I don't like when people are reactive because they didn't plan for what they're about to get. I want you to be proactive. So if you're budgeting every week, if I'm budgeting this week for what I'm going to be using product wise, right? Budgeting upcoming for this next week. I'm going to say, well, what did I do last week? What's my budget for color? Is it 6%, 8%, 9%? What's my budget for the back bar I'm going to be using? Is it 1%? What's my budget for the product I'm going to buy in order to sell? So if we know that we have a 50% markup on the products and I sold $2,000 last week, I have $1,000 budget to then spend for my upcoming week, or a little bit less. I like to kind of do 45% instead of 50. And it leaves room for us to have a little bit of wiggle room to get a couple extra items if we need it, right? And also remember, if you have a back bar budget of 6% or less, meaning what you're using for back bar, which is color, shampoo, styling products, all that, which should not exceed 6% of your service sales at all. Um, you'll look back at what your service revenue was last week. You'll take 6% of it. That becomes your budget to order for the upcoming week. What a lot of people forget is that you might need stuff throughout the week at the beauty supply, or running here or running there to pick things up. So maybe you want to have a 5% budget to order from your bigger companies of what you're going to be using. And that 1% is your wiggle room if you have to stop at the beauty supply, grab a few things here and there, so that you end up with 6%. If you're using your whole 6% budget, and then you're still running around having to grab things throughout the week, you're going to land at over 6%. And if you think about, you're doing $100,000 a month in services and you're 1% over every single month, that's $12,000 a year that you're over budget. I don't know about you, but I talk to a lot of owners that are saying, I'd like to take a paycheck and not have to do hair or do skin or do nails. Well, there's $12,000 of a paycheck if you're just in budget, and that's just one expense. So week one, look at your finances and just start looking at, even if you could map out the first 3 months or the first 6 months of where you want to be, and make sure that you go back to your P&L and say, what was my profit in this same month last year? And how is it, if I look at my profit and loss statement, where can I carve out a bigger profit? The goal should be a 10% or greater profit at the end of the day. Okay, so week one could be financial review and budgeting. Week two, staffing needs. What kind of staffing needs are you projecting for next year? And I want to do a shout out to my client, Lisa, who I've been working with for years, Lisa Sanger from Wild Olive Salon in the Carolinas. And we were talking a couple weeks ago, and she brought up, look, she's getting her education program in order. And she said, this is how many staff I'm going to need in each location next year. And I love that, because it's not like you're going to hire all 10 people at one time. But when you're looking and projecting your growth, you have to project, how are you going to get that growth? It's not just going to be by driving sales. It's also going to by being increasing your staff so that people can take more clients, right? So what do you need to project for staffing needs? I think that's a really good thing to look at. So you could say, you know what, in quarter one, I'm going to hire 2 people, or I'm going to hire 3 people because I might end up with 2. Then quarter 2, I'm going to hire another person. In quarter 3, I'm going to hire 2 more people. And then the beginning of quarter 4, I'm going to hire another person or 2. So really thinking about your growth plan and incorporating staffing needs inside your growth plan. Week 3, you could be working on a marketing calendar and creating marketing. So when you're looking at marketing, you're going to look at, like, what season are we in, right? And my friend Tom Kuhn, who runs a program called Cunity, has a program called 8 Seasons. And so they look at the calendar through the 8 different seasons of the year. And so looking at the different holidays, the different seasons, and based on these different 8 seasons of the year, you can plan your meetings around those also, which I'll talk about in a minute. But based on the 8 seasons, then you're ready for Mother's Day. You're ready for Father's Day. You're ready for, if you celebrate an Honor Earth Month. I mean, whatever the promos could be, breast cancer awareness, holiday is then coming back around the corner, or back to school. All of these promos on the marketing calendar are to drive sales and to be able to stay relevant to what's happening through the course of the year. So your business is riding the waves that are available to you to continue to drive sales. So a marketing calendar to start looking at what's going on through the course of the year. That would be week 3. Week 4, one of my favorites. Personal growth as a leader. So where do you want to slot in how you're going to grow and evolve and elevate as a leader? So is that going to be hiring a business coach? Is that going to be going to different seminars to give you different ideas on how to lead your team better, different, how to elevate your skills, your communication skills, um, your visionary skills? Plan for yourself. Put yourself in there. Super important, right? So maybe that's twice a year. Maybe it's once a year. Maybe it's once a quarter. Maybe it's you can only afford going to one big thing a year and you're supplementing with leadership podcasts or books, right? So, what are some things that you guys do? Throw it in the comments for me. What do you do to elevate your leadership skills? Because how we show up as a leader in whatever business we are in is going to determine how people see us, and how people see us, how they listen to us, how they respect where we're going as a leader. Isn't that going to be your followers, which would be your staff, how they see you, how enrolled they are in the higher goal, in the bigger goal, in the mission, in the values of the company? So don't forget to put in your calendar for next year where you are going to work on you. Week 5. This I got to spend a little bit of time on is our meeting calendar. So this is team meetings, team meeting calendar. This to me is uber important, super important. When are your team meetings going to be through the course of the year? That should be getting planned now. Why? Because you need everybody at those meetings. So you can mark the books off of all of the staff, close the salon at the time that you're having your meetings. My recommendation is to do 6 to 8 company meetings a year. You'll have your kickoff, you'll have your mid-year one, you'll have your end of the year holiday one, and then you'll sprinkle a few more in there. When we talk about the marketing calendar, your sales calendar, or your sales and budget projections, those are all going to be driven by the engagement of your team getting excited about whatever it is that you're going to market and whatever it is you're going to launch. So one thing that drives me crazy, and I'll tell you this and you guys know, if those of you are working with me that are listening to this, if you are getting ready to show up for a meeting at the time the meeting is coming and not being prepared, it drives me insane. Because you marked time off the schedule, you marked your time off the schedule, your staff are coming in, their time is marked off the schedule. And you owe it to yourself and your team to be prepared and to be launching something that's going to have them leave better than when they walked in the door. Are they going to be smarter? Are they going to have an availability to make more money? Are they going to be more motivated and excited about the culture? That is not going to happen if you're planning for a meeting the day before the meeting. Does anybody do that? Raise your hand, because nobody can see you if you're raising your hand online, but I see you. So listen, I want you to look at the calendar and put 6 to 8 meetings in the calendar. And you may want to line the meetings up with holidays. Like we have, if you want to run, let's just say, a Valentine's promo, and you want to sell gift cards for Valentine's Day, and you want to have whatever gifts for Valentine's Day. You don't want to have your meeting the day before Valentine's Day. You want to have it maybe on the 10th or on the 8th of February. So maybe you have your kickoff meeting in mid-January. You have your next gathering with your team on the 8th or 9th, right, of February, so that you can launch Valentine's Day and you can get everybody engaged to know what's going on. For those of you that run promos through the course of the year and you're not getting the engagement you want, you're not getting the sales that you want, you're not getting the enrollment or results that you want, I'm not going to guarantee this, but I'm going to say I'm pretty sure, is that your team doesn't feel engaged or enrolled. And that could be because you didn't do your job in preparing for their engagement, to be excited, to be able to help you sell through whatever these promos are. So you might know it front side and back side and say, I'm just going to make an announcement and everybody should get on board. But that's not how people process. You've been processing this calendar since now. You're rolling it out in February, March, April, May. They haven't heard about it before. So you have to start at the beginning with them. What's in it for them? What's in it for the company? What's in it for the clients? How are we going to roll this out? Do we all have the tools we need, right? Is there a contest surrounding it? These things take time. We used to have a salon celebration every month at our company, and it was the first Tuesday of every month. And we now do it every 6 weeks. So we do 8 a year. But the reason I'm telling you this is, like, let's say we had our big salon celebration or gathering at the first Tuesday of the month. The second Tuesday of the month, I'm in a management meeting with my leadership team, already planning for the next first Tuesday of the month. So it doesn't mean that we get it completely planned that next week, but we're working on micro steps over the next 3 weeks in order to plan for this next event, to make sure it's fun, it's upbeat, it's uplifting, it's engaging, and there are things that are exciting for the staff to take away and talk about. So I know I'm spending a little bit extra time on this planning your meetings, but the reason I'm doing this is because I'm noticing that people are not planning for their success. And so it doesn't take a lot of time. You could plan anywhere from 15 minutes a week to an hour a week of concentrated time to plan for your team meetings or team events or salon celebrations or whatever you want to call them. I don't like the word staff meetings. I just feel like it has a funky connotation, and people don't wake up and say, oh, I can't wait to go to my staff meeting today, right? It's like, there should be food there. It should be a celebration. People should be getting acknowledged for anniversaries and birthdays and all the things. So a couple of things when you're planning your meetings. Your kickoff meeting of the new year should be the first one that you plan. And that should be sometime in January. And that meeting, I don't want to say could look like this, where you're reflecting on the previous year, 2024, how you did, the victories that you had, the challenges that you had to overcome, people that killed it. You want to acknowledge people and celebrate people for not just their sales, but their contribution to the company in whatever way. If they always come in early, if you always see them motivating other people, if they take people under their wing to help support their growth, whatever it is, you need to look for the greatness in people and celebrate that. You also want to talk about revenue goals. And if you are one of those leaders that are not talking about numbers, I want to just try to motivate you and encourage you to talk about your company's numbers. You can talk about profit. It's not a dirty word. Every company needs profit in order to be sustainable and successful, kind of like our staff. And I like to share this with the staff and say, just like you get a paycheck and you pay your bills and there's extra money left over, that could be called profit. And you need that extra money for an emergency, for other things that you want to do. The business is no different. We have revenue that comes in, we have the bills that get paid, and there's either money left over or there's not. But what numbers, what benchmarks, what markers need to be met and hit in order for you to have whatever profit you want to have, in order to have a sustainable company? So you could celebrate that you had some 5% profitability last year, or 10%, or that your key benchmarks, which ones got hit, which ones suffered a little bit, so that we know what we're going to be working on this upcoming year and why, and what's in it for them, and what's in it for the client, and what's in it for the company. So all of these things take planning. So it's time to start being transparent with your team. I'm not saying show up with a profit and loss statement and plaster it on the walls, but there are key performance indicators that you can pull out of those financials and share with your team and share what they should be focusing on that help them to drive their revenue. So it's what is it that they need and want in their life, and how do we help them get that? And then we automatically start getting what we need and want in order for the business to be moving and thriving. All right. Now, I know it was a lot today. I hope I wasn't all over the map, but I feel like there's just so much to do. Is it just me? Am I projecting all my projects off on you? I have a lot of different projects coming up. And I literally sat down this morning and say, okay, what are the things that I need to sit down? And on that list is marking my calendar off for an hour every week on a few different projects that I'm working on so that I can have some concentrated, uninterrupted time to plan for my own success, right? I have like a new business that I'm launching. I still am in the sandbox working with owners, amazing as you are. And so I have my own goals and planning of things that I need to start plotting along. And you have your businesses that I want you to take hold of and not feel like you're showing up to the party without planning the party. I want you to have a fabulous party for 2025. I want it to feel like, God, I worked so hard, or I planned, I did it, I planned, and look how much better the outcome of these meetings are, right? It's like, I want that for you. I want that for me. I want us to say, God, you know what? I sat down and did the work and it's paying off. And I want that for you. And for those of you that I work with, heed my words, because this is what our sessions are about right now, from now until the end of the year, is getting our shite together so that you feel like you are arriving to your party prepared. So take some time for yourself. I appreciate you guys jumping in. I appreciate all the comments and the love. And if you need help, you know how to reach me. If you guys want to go onto carriedavisconsulting.com, sign up to get newsletters. I send them out about every other week. And I will send you guys, I will send you a list of this micro planning technique about laying out what to do for what week. So head over to carriedavisconsulting.com, sign up for my newsletter this coming Thursday. It will come out. And I'll have this like little schedule, a mock schedule for you that maybe would be helpful for you. Derek, you do have some planning to do. I'll be talking to you soon. So I'm so happy you guys are here. I love you guys. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. All right. Throw me some comments if there's anything you want me to talk about next week. I'm here for you. So, mwah, mwah, my Facebook and Instagram peeps. Have a great day. Bye.